What is going on, guys? ESG here, back with a new FPL video. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my Game Week 9 team and looking at the transfer dilemmas that I do have before the deadline. As always, if you do enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. And with that being said, let's get into it. So jumping straight into it with the defence and the goalkeeper, and I'm not overly happy with my defence this week, if I'm being completely honest, and for the next few weeks. So starting off in net with David Raya, his good fixtures have gone and he didn't get clean sheets in them, and now the fixtures start to get worse. Liverpool at home this week with no Saliba, Newcastle away next week, and then Chelsea away the week after. So that's three really tough fixtures for the Arsenal defence. And having double Arsenal defence, I don't think is going to go well for me at all. Could I see a clean sheet in one of the next three? Potentially, yes. Probably against Newcastle, if anybody. I don't see a clean sheet against Liverpool, though, if I'm being completely honest. Saliba got himself a red card last week, so they're already without Saliba. Calafiori might be injured in defence as well, so that's already defensive issues. And then you've got the likes of Odegaard out up front, maybe Saka out as well. So I honestly do see Liverpool potentially getting something from this game at the weekend against Arsenal. And having Raya in net doesn't sit well with me, but at the same time, I don't want to be making a goalkeeper transfer in my team. I think I'm willing to just see it out for the long run with Raya. When his fixtures get better again, I know people are going to be jumping onto Raya then because of the clean sheets that Arsenal could have. I think from game week 11 onwards, maybe game week 12 onwards, Arsenal's fixtures start to pick up again. So having double Arsenal defence from game week 12 is 100% what I want. Just for the next three, maybe not, but I'm probably going to be sticking with Raya in net. Moving down to the actual defence, and I'm going to start with Dunk. I was between starting Dunk or Konza. I don't see a clean sheet from either of them, if I'm being completely honest. I do just feel like Dunk has the better possibility of keeping a clean sheet, especially with Van Heck now being back in defence. I think that will solidify Brighton's defence a little more than it has been. And with Brighton keeping a clean sheet last week, I do think that they could keep another one this week, especially against Wolves, who haven't been the best this season. They've only got 1 point in the league. They've not won a game and they've only drawn one. So I could see Brighton getting the win and also getting a clean sheet in this game. Looking at Konza, who's on my bench as well, at home to Bournemouth. Do I see a clean sheet that game? I don't see one, but there is a possibility that he could keep one. Bournemouth away from home are not as good as they have been at home. So there is always a chance that Villa could keep a clean sheet in that game. And I could easily start Konza instead of Gabriel if I don't want to make a defensive transfer. That is something that I'm weighing up. But for now, I've got Konza as my first sub, just in case somebody in my defence or midfield doesn't play. Moving on to Gabriel next, then it's the same as Raya. I don't really want double Arsenal defence for the next few game weeks, but at the same time, do I really want to be using a defensive transfer to bring in somebody who's got a decent fixture for this week, but then they drop off a bit? I was looking at bringing in Gvardiol from Man City because I think Man City being against Southampton at home this week is an incredible fixture. I see a clean sheet in it. I see multiple attacking returns from multiple players. But at the same time, after this game week, City's fixtures do drop off a little bit. So do I really want to be making a Man City defensive transfer in when there's probably only a chance of one clean sheet in the next 3 or 4? Not really. So I think I am willing to stick with Gabriel. And as I have said, I can bench Gabriel if need be and start Konza. That's always a possibility if I do feel like Arsenal will struggle a lot defensively. And I don't see a clean sheet from Arsenal at all, don't get me wrong. And Gabriel is such a threat from corners. Could I see him getting a goal from a corner this week? There is a chance, but I do think that Van Dijk and Konate will be locking down Gabriel, as they don't really have anybody else to deal with from corner. So I think they could end up doubling up on Gabriel, limiting his chances a little bit more. So I am leaning more towards starting Konza instead of Gabriel, if I'm being honest, and saving that transfer, or at least making that transfer elsewhere in my team where I do have players that I need to take out. But at the same time, Gvardiol this week is just too strong, in my opinion. At home to Southampton, we saw him get a goal last week against Wolves. Could he get another goal this week? potentially, but if it's only for 1 week where it's one good fixture, is it really the smartest move making that transfer? I don't really think so. So I think I will probably end up keeping Gabriel, and then it'll just be a toss up between do I start him or do I bench him? And then looking at Trent, away against Arsenal this week isn't the best game if I'm being completely honest. However, with Odegaard being injured, and it is a big if at the minute, but if Saka is still injured and he doesn't play, I honestly think that leans into Liverpool's favour a lot more, and I think that they could end up keeping a clean sheet. Last week against Bournemouth, Arsenal looked woeful going forward. No Saka, no Odegaard, and they fall apart up front, in my opinion. So if they don't have both of them again, I know Odegaard's out for a while, but if Saka is out again, that could easily be a clean sheet from Liverpool this game week. So more than willing to keep Trent. Plus, Trent's attacking possibility of a return is just too strong to get rid of him. And with the fixtures picking up again after this game week, I think I'm more than happy to go with Trent. They've got Brighton at home next week, which is an incredible fixture in my opinion. So no issues there for me. My other defender is Greaves, who is injured and red flagged. I was going to do a transfer of Greaves out, but then I just thought he's not getting any minutes for me anyway. Is it really worth wasting a transfer on that? And I came to the conclusion that it wasn't really worth it. So that is the defence and the little bit of a dilemma that I do have, and it's just whether do I get rid of Gabriel, do I start Gabriel, or do I bench Gabriel for Konza? So I want to know your thoughts in the comments about that, what I should do with Gabriel this week. But that's really it for the defence. Let's now move on to the midfield, where I do have another dilemma. So moving on to the midfield, and I've gone with a midfield 4 this week instead of a midfield 5, mainly because Carvalho's minutes have been dropping off since Vista's come back, so I don't really want to be starting Carvalho in my starting 11 if I'm being completely honest. But I do have another dilemma, and that is Trossard from Arsenal, so I'm going to start with him. Trossard over the last couple of game weeks hasn't been returning. He got benched in the game before last against Southampton, and then he started last week against Bournemouth and just didn't return. So I am looking at it and thinking Trossard is a definite transfer that I need out. I think if Saka's fit, I don't see Trossard starting. I honestly think Martinelli will start on the left, Saka on the right, and then maybe Jesus and Havertz through the middle. So I was thinking Trossard is too much of a minutes risk at the minute, and with him not getting the returns, I don't really think it's worth sticking with him if I'm being completely honest. And there are a few transfers in that I have been looking at, but I just don't know which one is going to be the best to make. The first one I was looking at was Savinho from Man City. With Grealish and Doku both being injured, I think Savinho's minutes are locked on. However, over the last few game weeks, he's just not been getting involved in the goals or in the returns. So is that really the smartest move to make with them only having Southampton as the best fixture and then the fixtures drop off a little bit? I'm not too sure. The other players that I've been looking at are the 3 Spurs assets of Maddison, Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski. But again, I just feel like with Richarlison coming back from injury, I think their minutes could be a little bit touch and go. With Son being ruled out of this week, I do think that it's a little bit more nailed on that all 3 of them will be starting. I just don't know who would get the most minutes. And looking over the last 6-7 weeks, Kulusevski has been the one getting 90 minutes every game. So if I was making a Spurs transfer in, it would be Kulusevski, because he's getting more returns and he's playing a lot longer, meaning he has longer to get a return. So there is that possibility, but Spurs' best fixtures have gone now and the fixtures are starting to drop off a little bit, but that doesn't mean they're awful fixtures. They've got Crystal Palace this week, which I think is a really good fixture. Villa next week, which is a little bit more tough, but again, at home, I could see Spurs getting a goal or 2 in that. And then Ipswich at home the week after, which is an incredible fixture. So could it be worth a 3-week punt on a Spurs asset? I think it could definitely be worth it, and I am leaning more towards that. I have one free transfer because I have already made one in my attack, which I will get to shortly. So with having another free transfer, I do have that possibility of making another transfer, which I am very, very tempted to do, and it would be Trossard out if anybody. It's just, is it the smartest move to make? Now, I could easily take a -4 this week. I could do Trossard out and Gabriel out, take a -4, play my triple captain on Haaland and hope that he gets a mega haul. But I don't want to be taking another -4. I've already taken one this season and it didn't work out. I don't want to be taking another, so I am between Gabriel out or Trossard out. And for me at the minute, I think Trossard is the better one to take out because there are so many more attacking options out there with better fixtures over the next 3 or 4 game weeks that could get me returns. Looking at Rodgers next, and I think Rodgers is a no-brainer in my team, if I'm being completely honest. I brought him in as that budget-enabling midfielder, and he's just getting return after return at the minute, and it's so good to see him with them being at home to Bournemouth. Although Bournemouth have been so strong so far this season, I do see Rodgers getting another return this week, so I'm more than happy sticking with Rodgers, and if he gets a return, that's perfect. If he doesn't, I'm not going to be overly disappointed with him being that cheap option in my team. But is Mr. 90-minute man at the minute for Villa, so there's no minutes risk with him. He came off with a knock a few weeks ago, but he's been fit after that and played 90 minutes in every game. He played 90 minutes in the Champions League. Do I think that'll affect his Premier League minutes? Absolutely not. He just seems to... He's a tank at the minute, and he's just going and going and going. So, as I've said, I'm more than happy to stick with Morgan Rodgers. Looking at Mbeumo next, at home to Ipswich, I think it's a brilliant fixture, and he's even a captaincy option if you don't have the likes of Erling Haaland or somebody like that. So, I don't see any problem with Mbeumo and with captaining Mbeumo if anybody wanted to do that. Me personally, I'm not going to because I do have Haaland in my team, who I am thinking of triple captaining. Spoiler alert. However, I could easily go with Mbeumo if I do feel like Haaland won't get any minutes this week, but it's Haaland we're talking about. Of course, he's going to get minutes. Mbeumo at home to Ipswich. With Visser now being back, I just think that strengthens Brentford even more. And we saw what Mbeumo was doing with Visser before Visser got injured, and even after Visser got injured, Mbeumo was still getting the returns. Mbeumo was on penalties as well, so there's no issue there for Mbeumo. I don't think he's a minutes risk. He's not a rotation risk. He's a solid option in my midfield, and I'm buzzing that I've got him. And then Salah against Arsenal. A lot of people are moving away from Liverpool assets this week, and I don't honestly see why. Away to Arsenal, on paper, it looks like a really tough fixture, but with the injuries that Arsenal have, I think it could be a field day for Liverpool, if I'm being completely honest, and I could see Liverpool getting 2, maybe 3 goals, whether it's 2-2, whether it's 3-2, whether it's 3-1, 2-1, who knows, it could go either way this game, but if Arsenal's injuries are as bad as people think, and especially if Saka doesn't start, with Saliba being out injured in defence, I think that Liverpool attack will have a field day going forward, so I am more than happy to be sticking with Salah, and if people are confident enough, he's more than a captaincy option in my opinion, so the fixture on paper isn't good, but if you look at the injuries, and then you look at Liverpool's long term as well, the fixtures start to pick up an awful lot, so I think sticking with Liverpool assets, for me personally, is the smartest move to make, which is why I'm sticking with them, and I'm sticking with Salah as my vice captain away to Arsenal because I do think that he could get a goal or 2 this week. So that is the midfield. The only other one to talk about is Carvalho, who's on my bench. As I've said, his minutes are dropping off. It would be nice to get rid of him, but at the same time, I don't really want to be using that transfer this week. So for now, I'll stick with him. Even though he's on my bench, it doesn't really matter too much. If he comes on off the bench and gets a goal, that's perfect. So yeah, that's it for the midfield. Let's now move on to the attack where I have made a transfer. So finally moving on to the attack, and with the transfer that I have made, I'm actually really happy with the front 3 that I do have. So I'm going to start off with the transfer that I did make, and that is Raul Jimenez from Fulham. Now, away to Everton isn't the best fixture, let's be honest. However, I do see Fulham getting a goal or 2 in this game, and with Raul's form being so good at the minute, he's got a return in all of his last 5 games since he started to get frequent starts for Fulham. So I am more than happy to go with Raul Jimenez, and if he doesn't get a return, then it is a little bit disappointing, but away to Everton, I can see him getting a return. So I've brought Raul in for João Pedro, just because João Pedro is still injured and nobody really knows when he is going to be back, so Jimenez was a no-brainer in my opinion to bring into my starting 11. Looking at Calvert-Lewin next, at home to Fulham. Fulham are without Anderson this week because he got sent off in the last game, so I could see Everton getting some attacking returns in this game. Will Calvert-Lewin get them? I'm not entirely sure. It could be McNeil like it has been previously, but I would like to think Calvert-Lewin can get a goal in this game, or at least in the next few fixtures. So I'm not in any major rush to get rid of Calvert-Lewin, if I'm being completely honest. I think that in the long term, he will start to get some really good returns. And then finally, looking at Haaland, at home to Southampton is an incredible fixture. Whether De Bruyne is fit or not, I'm not sure. However, is Haaland the best triple captaincy option? I think if you're looking at any week, this could probably be the week. There's not many double game weeks this season, and there are multiple chips that you might want to use in those double game weeks. So, for me personally, I'm about 70% sure that I'm going to play my triple captaincy. I've just not activated it quite just yet. I probably will activate it before the deadline, but I always want to see if there's any news around De Bruyne or anybody like that first before I do definitely activate it and then see. So that is the team overall. There wasn't too much to say on the attack, if I'm being completely honest. Triple captains Haaland probably will happen, let's be honest. I just don't see a lot of people doing it, which is why I kind of want to do it a little bit more, because Haaland's form over the last few hasn't been great, so if there's any game for him to get a mega return in, it would be this game, and if a lot of people aren't triple captaining him because of the form that he is in, it makes me want to do it even more. So that is the team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let me know what you're going for this game week, whether you are triple captaining Haaland or not. So there we have it, guys. That is my Game Week 9 team selection and the transfer dilemmas that I do currently have. So I want your thoughts in the comments. First of all, are you playing your triple captaincy this week on Haaland? And if not, what week are you looking at playing it? And also, what transfer do you think I should make out of all the ones that I've started? Should I take Gabriel out, or should I take Trossard out? And who is the player to bring in out of all the ones that I have mentioned? As always, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. And until next time, thank you for watching.